Hello everyone, my name is Claire Lyon and I will be discussing the affect heuristic. An affect heuristic is a quick decision someone makes based on his or her emotions. Affect refers to emotion, and a heuristic is a mental shortcut that people employ to save time while solving problems. People typically associate the affect heuristic with judgments involving dangerous risks. However, it can also occur during our everyday lives, like when we decide to buy a certain product. Like other heuristics, affect can be faulty. While benefits do exist to the affect heuristic, such as avoiding possible danger, it can pose problems because people are not using rational thought. According to Slovak et al. In 2007, people refer to an affect pool, which holds all of the positive and negative emotions associated with something while making decisions. Our emotions can greatly impact our decisions and judgments, especially if they're made quickly without much thought. According to Zeonk in 1980, affective reactions to stimuli often occur before other responses. If people listen to their first emotion-based thought rather than rational reasoning, it can pose problems in judgment. Sometimes the first emotion we feel is so strong that any other reason seems false. Although going with our gut can be very beneficial at times, it can also be very, very misleading. We should learn to recognize these affect heuristic moments when they occur so we can stop, think, consider all of the information, and make more rational decisions. For example, consider travel plans. If a person wants to travel from one city to another that is, say, 7 hours away by car, what will they do? They can either drive for 7 hours or fly for about 2 hours. We all have different opinions about flying. If you asked me, I would say that I would rather drive for 7 hours. Why is that? Because I have very negative emotions towards flying. After learning about the September 11th attacks, watching the movie Final Destination and the sequels, and hearing about the several plane crashes over the past several months from the news, I've associated flying with fear and death. I quickly deemed plane travel dangerous without considering any other factors. The media plays a very large role in increasing perceived risk of aviation. Car accidents occur much more often than plane accidents, yet they're not broadcast as much. While driving, you have probably seen an accident or the aftermath of one. Maybe you've even been in one, like me. Although you know of many from your own experience, they are not all reported on by the news. Whenever a plane crash occurs, I hear about it from the news or others very quickly. News channels and television have painted a much darker picture of planes than reality. An increase in driving began shortly after the September 11th terrorist attacks, which also, unfortunately, led to an increase in vehicular fatalities, according to Gigerenzer in 2004. In the 3 months after the attack, a significant increase in road traffic occurred. During the same time, the number of fatalities in car accidents also increased. The previous 5 years and 8 months before the attack, the death rates remained relatively constant. However, after the attacks, the rates surged in correlation with the increased driving. Looking at the data, planes are statistically safer than cars. With more thought, the person mentioned earlier might take the 2-hour plane ride over the 7-hour car ride. However, if we let our affect heuristics guide us, we may choose the car ride without a second thought. To avoid giving into faulty heuristics, we should stop, think, consider all the information, and even try to gather more information before making a decision. I wondered how age affects the affect heuristic. I wanted to know if the affect heuristic occurs more often in teenagers with less control over their emotions or in older, more experienced adults who would have an affect pool for a greater number of situations. I hypothesized that teenagers would rely more heavily on the affect heuristic than younger and older adults because teens are more prone to emotional outbursts and impulsivity because their frontal lobes are not yet fully developed. The frontal lobe, according to Spielman et al. In 2014, is associated with functions such as reasoning and emotion. I interviewed 3 people: a teenager, younger adult, and an older adult. I asked them how often they believe they make judgments based on an affect heuristic, and I asked for an example of an effective decision in their current stage of life. For the teenager, I talked to 17-year-old Victor. Victor, after seeing several videos of motorcycle accidents online, has decided that motorcycles are very dangerous. Because of the many videos of riders getting into horrible accidents, Victor is left with a feeling of fear towards motorcycles. It has left a lasting impact on him, and he remarked that he would never ride a motorcycle because of this. He said that he relies on an affect heuristic to make decisions around 6 times per week. I interviewed 37-year-old Adam. Unlike Victor, Adam focused less on the dangers of something. Instead, Adam's affect heuristic is to drink tea over coffee. He does not view either beverage as harmful, but he feels that tea is healthier than coffee. As he told me, he does not know for sure which drink has greater health benefits, yet his positive emotions toward tea have caused him to choose it over coffee. Adam said that an affect heuristic occurs about 3 to 4 times per week in his life. He also said that he had made more effective decisions as a teenager than as an adult. For my last interview, I spoke with 70-year-old Fred. Like Adam, Fred did not make a judgment about hazardous situations. He noted that affect heuristics typically occur whenever he is faced with a large project. If he has to purchase something for the project, he's more likely to buy the materials without comparing costs. He said that he becomes very impatient with great tasks, and he prefers to finish everything as soon as possible, not considering the different prices of possible materials. His quick decisions stemming from his impatience result in him choosing to save time rather than money in some situations. Fred remarked that he does not use affect heuristics very often at all. In fact, it's only about 3 times per year. He noted that they occurred more as a teenager, less as a younger adult, and even less as an older adult. After talking with Victor, Adam, and Fred, I have concluded that age does seem to impact the affect heuristic. As people age, they appear to be less prone to quick emotional decisions. Adam's frequency of affect heuristics was approximately half of Victor's, and Fred's was drastically less. Both Adam and Fred mentioned how they strongly believe their experience has helped them rely less on their emotions when assessing a situation or item. Another interesting result was the type of judgment sheets the person made. Adam and Fred could not tell me any recent examples involving risk assessments of dangerous situations. They only had feelings towards certain products or safe situations. On the other hand, Victor and I, both teenagers, focus more on potentially harmful situations. The information I recorded from both myself and others reveals that reliance on the affect heuristic seems to decrease with age, and the use of an affect heuristic to assess potentially harmful situations also occurs less frequently the older an individual becomes. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day.